So thank you for joining us on day number 5 of our Power Circle Challenge for January 2020.
Morning, ladies.
Good morning. Morning, Sherry. Thank you so much for being here, for those joining live, as well as those that are going to listen to our recording and be part of it a little bit later today. Our theme today is connectivity harnesses. So we've really been kind of exploring the word connectivity and what that means in different ways. Today it's about harnessing, and we're actually going to be talking about some guiding principles to write, W-R-I-T-E, write your year. So just before I introduce my co-facilitator today, I just want to ask you a question. And the question is, if our words deliberately determine our destiny, how can we more deliberately and intentionally choose them? So if you believe that our words deliberately and intentionally can determine our destiny, how do we go about more deliberately choosing them? So I'd like to welcome Nicole Natras to our Power Circle today. Nicole is definitely the queen of all things writing, speaking, sharing, performing, acting, journaling, counseling, workshopping, vision boarding, like just an amazing person to powerhouse to have us engage in this conversation. Good morning, Nicole. How are you?
Thank you so much. I am well, and I really appreciate that incredible introduction. I always shake my head a little bit and think, yeah, I think I'm a multitasker.
Definitely a multitasker.
And yeah. I am really thrilled to be here.
Thank you. Nicole and I first met a few years ago when she was on our Power Talk stage in Sechelt with a very impactful message, which I have shared in our group. I encourage you to watch that if you haven't. So, Nicole, I'm wondering if you could just help me set a little bit of context. Today's conversation, really where I would like to maybe kick it off with you and have you add to it, is just that real concept is there a more direct link to what we say and what we write to what shows up in our life? Like, is that really a thing? Or
it is really a thing.
You know, I think as women, we probably, if I asked, I bet every single one of us at some point has kept a journal or a diary when we were younger. Dear diary, I love my crush. Yeah, you know, but so how are we, what, I think we were on to something there, but how do we take it to that next level? And really, if we're going to take it to the next level, then and acknowledge the power that it has and the potential of connecting us to the life we really want, then how do we prioritize that? You know, so that's what I'd love to dig in with you. And I'm just going to open it up to you to share for a bit on your experience.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I just want to say I've been following all of the groups this week and really want to follow up actually on what Tina shared yesterday, because there's some real synergies. And for those of you who don't know, that I am a co-facilitator with Tina, and for me, it's connecting. Connectivity really is about me taking the time, whether it's 2 minutes, and oftentimes it is 2 minutes or 15 minutes, to connect, to commit, to connect to myself. And I just want to share a brief description of something that I've experienced in the last while around journaling, and that is I was going through a particularly tough time this past December. And what I did was, and Tina was talking about this yesterday, about finding that easy spot within yourself for listening. And when I was listening to that yesterday, I thought, well, I found a physical, easy spot for me. Like a physical surrounding is really important for me. And I was going through a particularly hard time, our family was. And I placed a whole bunch of white Christmas lights up, you know, because it's so gray in the morning, et cetera, where we are. And just having that physical space where even when I'm getting my son ready to go to school, I can take 2 minutes. And for me, being able to stop and look at those Christmas lights and connect the Christmas white lights to my larger goals. And I'll explain what I mean by that. But having a feeling of what those Christmas lights, that string of lights, which is about being connected, but it's also about each light in igniting light within someone else. So I would do that for 2 minutes, even with my husband nattering at me and my son nattering at me, of just taking that time. Oftentimes, you know, I'm a big fan of just grabbing an index card or a stick-it note or my journal here, my messy journal, and just writing it down. Now, what's been happening since I started to do that is my courses are being sold in other places. It's like I'm connecting with people. Like, I don't know how you got a hold of me, right? Like, I actually don't know how this person got a hold of me. Oh, through this, and I saw this. And I realized that my mind, what I'm doing, you know, every day when I can, no perfection about right or wrong about doing it every day. But when I can, I stop, I breathe, I'm tuning in and connecting to what the feeling is that I want to harness in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And through that, listening, right, as Tina talked about yesterday, I'm also, for me, I call it downloading, where in the morning, I will download information, say from a dream or the night before, and I will also use my journal to dump what's in my mind. Or to deposit. I'm trying to think of a more positive word than dump, but I use the word dump for a reason, because I think it's important with so much that women are juggling in our lives to be able to have a place where I can dump some information, right? This is what I don't want to carry with me through today. This is what I'm leaving on the page. And then taking that 2 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever it is, morning priming is really, really essential. And one of the things that I've been looking at, and then I'll stop talking for a sec, is that in the morning, the creative mind is alive. You know, and there's a great scientific article that says the editing mind comes later. Okay, but the part of your brain that is alive first thing in the morning is the creative energy and mind. And that energy is going outwards and inwards. It's a reciprocal energy. And that's the time for me to really focus on connecting to my goals, whether it be personal, professional, spiritual, is really, really key.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, I just before we jump into an exercise and actually experience part of what you're talking about, I wanted to just share something that came up for me when you were talking. Yeah. And I encourage anyone that if you had certain things come up for you, they're to you, right? That's a message for you being sent to you through Nicole today. I love the discussion around dumping what you don't need, right? Like, or ditching it, whatever you want to call it, because my meditation this morning was about cutting the ties. And you and I had a conversation yesterday about some things in that area. And, you know, powerhouse language, it's about accelerating healing, but doing what you need to do to accelerate healing, to let go of what you don't need for liftoff. Mm-hmm. I think what I just wanted to voice this morning, if it's of use to anyone, is I think an exercise just about what do I no longer need?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to carry this with me today. Because I think if there was a number one thing that I've seen in myself the last couple of years, and I've seen in others, is when you get around people and they just feel so heavy, like they
Mm-hmm.
feel, like you can feel it. And it's like, people say the weight of the world. And yes, is that related to, physical struggles we have with our energy and our own vitality? Yes.
Yeah.
So of everything you said this morning, it was like, oh my gosh, if all we did was just release,
Mm-hmm.
release, release, release what you don't need, put it on the page. I don't need to carry this with me today. I
Yeah.
wonder how much we would feel lighter.
Mm-hmm. Or how much room and space you're opening up to say, okay, maybe that's one part of my feeling, but I don't have to have that as my story that's going throughout my whole entire day. I can actually open up to another story. Like even me taking 4 minutes when I was going through a particularly stressful time that was difficult to not think about, right? But to have that commitment to myself to say, I'm going to spend 4 minutes and I'm going to have this feeling. I'm opening and letting go, as you exactly say, of what I don't want to carry right now, right? And that becomes positive self-care. It becomes our intentions, right? It becomes all of that. It's and then we have room for goals, because part of my journaling work isn't just about feelings or thoughts. It's actually about my own little journal cycle that I call it. It's about writing through all that and then getting to the end and saying, what action can I take? What small step can I take towards my goals? Right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I love that. I really do. I'm just wondering, in just kind of talking about your own process, we've been sharing process, that each of us, and I think a lot of people are learning or just getting ideas of things that might work for them. Wondered if you could talk a little bit about your own process, or maybe walk us through walk us through an exercise to experience it. I'd love to hear more about um, the routines or rituals, the rhythm that you've found that is really helped to unlock some of this potential for you.
Okay. And I'd like to hear from anyone else too, just in terms of what they've noticed with their own journaling. I just have to share this card that I picked this morning, which is Imagine Your Potential. And Charlene, you started speaking this morning about potential, so just wanted to pull that. Sometimes
Awesome.
I will pull a card in the morning, like you shared, Charlene. Sometimes, you'll do a meditation. I never really get a chance to have that beautiful meditation time. I'm just going to be really honest about my process. My process is groundedly sporadic, because I literally have a little place in my house now with my lights where I will take my 5 to 18 minutes. Sometimes I'll write, sometimes I won't write. But it's really about me taking the time to drop down, as Tina mentioned yesterday, into some awareness or paying close attention to myself. And I just want to share this bit, because the thing that I really encourage everyone to do, journaling for self-care, it's about self-intimacy. And I really believe that if we are going to achieve if I'm going to achieve my potential, my goals, I need to be willing to turn up the heat, walk through the fire, right, as you speak about. And for me, that's about self-intimacy. Self-intimacy does not come immediately. It is a process that develops each time we have the courage to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge our thoughts and accept them as we write them down on the page. One way to think of intimacy is in to me see. And this is from a great book that I've been working through called Writing Alone Together. It's journaling in a circle of women for creativity, compassion, and connection. And this is a woman that I've been working with my online course. So into Me See, I really, want to encourage that whatever works for you, maybe it's in the car on your way to work, maybe it's in the shower, wherever you get that opportunity, again, as Tina mentioned, to find that easy place within yourself, or to find that time to look inwards, right? And to write it down, because when we write it down, it means I'm accountable, it matters, I matter, right? Because then I have to look at it the next day and say, what was I thinking here? Oh, that's what it was. And that motivates action, for me anyway. That will give you a kind of a little glimpse into process time. And one of the exercises, if everyone would like to do an exercise of writing, yeah. One of the things that I love to do is just lists when I don't have time to sit and have a coffee, and I'm so envious of Tina's fire, right, to sit and have that time. When I don't have that time, I will get a piece of paper and I'll write a list, right? So I encourage everyone to do that right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just write that down on a journal on your page. Listing is very powerful, right? And I would encourage us to, since I pulled Imagine Your Potential card today, let's go wild and let's dream about listing 5 things you'd like to have happen in 2020 that are of your highest potential, wildest potential, most ideal potential. And as quickly as possible, write them down. And it might be in health, it might be in relationships, it might be career, it might be money, anything. And the great thing about listing is that there's a sense of immediacy and urgency when we list. That allows us to jump in without that editor mind kind of getting in there going, well, what do you mean you're writing down, you have 3 courses written by December 2020, right? Did everyone have a chance to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can take that little list that you have, right? And you can look at each one, and before your editor mind or the logical brain checks in, right? You can look at it and say, what is one small microscopic step I could take today towards that? Instead of, and I'm just going to round it back to what you were saying, Charlene, at the beginning, instead of maybe carrying an old story or narrative forward today, right? It's really, it's taking, I'm very action goal oriented, which has a good side and a negative side as in anything, but lists really work. And then they help me to break down what would be my microscopic step here. And then I'm building on those microscopic steps. And that idea of listing also gets our creative mind before our editing mind. Our creative mind is less likely to judge and come in and say, what do you mean, Nicole? You can't do that. That's why morning priming is so important, because it's like our logical editing mind isn't quite awake yet to come in and go, no, it has to be this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why doing it in the morning for me, and you know, some people might differ, they might have a before bed inspiration. Generally for me, maybe when I was in my 20s, I was inspired to write 24 hours a day. And now at bedtime, I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. We have a few minutes here, and I do know the power of voicing things and publicly declaring what you're committed to, even if they are crazy big potential lists.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't say, you know, read your list, but I will say read your list. If there is anything on your list that you feel comfortable sharing with us, you know, 1 to 5 items, just quickly, so we all have a chance to do so. I encourage you to just unmute yourself and share. No expectation, but if you would like to share it with the rest of the group, and those that watch the recording, I invite you to do so. There's some power in publicly articulating it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first.
Sure, Dana. Thanks.
Okay. My big wish would be to have a block party in Seychelles. I've thought about it, we've started it, and just a big, great block party where everybody gets to know each other, they connect. Art studio, reno cottage, family video, and just a couple of relationships that I want to be real, just good, clear lines. And that's my list.
Nice.
Wow, that's great.
Love it. Tina O, I saw you reaching for it.
Woo! Okay. Study with Dr. Martin Shaw in England, Dartmoor. This one's whatever. Okay, no, bye-bye editing mind. Thank you.
Yeah.
Speak at the Chamber of Beautiful Business, not the Chamber, the House of Beautiful Business in Lisbon.
Ah, Lisbon.
Yeah. Hug Ryan when he finishes his cross USA bike trip at the end. And I don't know what the word is yet, but there's a embodied facilitation. I have a vision of speaking of the work that we're looking at, that work we're creating for Ottawa and Regina, and just so like feeling like I am the room, like we are all the room together. Just that's more of an internal feeling I have. And for heaven's sake, Tina, deliver and publish your bloody book. Like, publish it, hard copy. Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kelly, is there anything on your list you want to share?
The biggest thing on my list is related to some renovation stuff right now that, I mean, there's lots of little things, but I'm very visual in the environment that I'm in. And so there's some stuff that's like just every day, just picking up, right? So it's just gotta get done. Gotta get done.
Yeah, awesome. Tisha, anything on your list that you feel comfortable sharing?
I do. So in my world of fundraising and philanthropy, a CFRE designation is something that I am committed to get. I'm registered to write the exam in this first quarter, so that will be huge. Lose the 40s, which is a lot, and I won't go into that, but lose the 40s. And I have IDWW, so it's kind of an inside joke with our family. My mother always says, someday I'll be an independently wealthy woman. So I have that listed, and refine my power play. The other thing is to create a keynote that is sort of a bit of a journey story, I guess. So those are my 5 things.
Nice. Nice. Karen, anything on your list you would want to share?
Okay, sure. I listed to design and create a new clergy stole introduction that is like low cost, affordable for people. And I listed to solve some health issues, and that's definitely underway. So hopefully there'll be more with that. I've been thinking a lot of writing, and that's listed. And I've been thinking about trying to clear my calendar. That means not doing any of those above to allow for some study. So I'm not sure, but looking to that. And my husband and I are starting to talk about some future plans, and so I have as a goal to have some knowing about that. And the baby step that I've been pondering and have just written down is that I'm going to find some writing exercises and start doing one every week. So I'm not sure what that means, but that's my baby step.
Well, we've got some great women on this call that have some great prompts. So if you need some help, reach out. Just going to ask you, Karen, in the chat group, if you don't, I'm going to bump on to the next person, but if you wouldn't mind writing down your first one. I just wanted to make sure that I was really clear on it. The affordable, Sherry Melnick, anything on your list you want to share?
Sure. Just every morning I sit down and I write in my start today journal, and I plan my day out. And one of the things is just being and bringing myself in a good place all the time, and just reminding myself of, how good I am, and keeping negative away from me. So that's that's a very important step for me to do. And just my health, making sure that I'm looking after my health. I have 2 beautiful granddaughters, and I want to spend as much time and be as healthy as I can for those little girls and enjoy every moment with them, because as we know, they grow up so fast. So that's a couple of my top ones that are just like always front and foremost in my mind.
Thank you very much for sharing. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Christina, what's on your list? She's like, screw you, I'm not sharing my list. No, I'm kidding. You have to unmute yourself.
No, I see that. I was like looking for the button. So I am going to do my list later, because I have been sort of walking around and doing stuff while I'm listening to this. So I have been multitasking, actually. But one of the things that's on my list in my head is to have 3/4 of my mortgage paid off at the end of the year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love how definitive it is, right? Like there's no slippery
enough that I better come up with something definitive.
There's no slippery or sliding. It's like 3/4 of the mortgage. Yeah, no, love it. Love it.
Like, if I'm going to say it out loud to Charlene, it's got to be specific.
Oh, thank you. Lisa, is there anything that you'd want to share from your list this morning? You just have to unmute yourself if you'd like to. Just hold on. Maybe not. I'm going to go ahead and just in case, just because I do realize that we're short on time, you're also welcome, Lisa, to just note it in the chat if you'd like. Yeah, I mean, what I noticed about my list, and I wondered if anyone else did, I listed things that I was excited about, but I also didn't list some things that I don't know how to say it, that I just know they're going to happen. So they actually didn't even make the list because I realized that my editing mind was like, oh, well, where is this on the list? How come it's not there? But with no editing, I'm invited to Ellen. I'm invited to the Ellen show because she's heard about me and us. I'm invited to Finland to talk to the new government because they've also heard about us. And I'm invited to the UN, and there's a chance that I might be actually working on that right now in a roundabout way. And there's other things on the list too, but they were all around athletics and sport. So I find it very interesting what didn't make the list without editing anything. So I think that's kind of interesting. Anyway, Nicole, I wondered, I just want to be respectful of time. We're a little over, apologies. Any closing thoughts for us today?
My closing thoughts are just for everyone to recognize that took less than a minute to tune in, to write that list, and that if you spend 1 to 8 to 15 minutes a day focusing on one of those things, there's beautiful energy there. We can all hear it, right? As we share, there's excitement, there's enthusiasm there. That's where the energy is living and alive. And to follow that. And I'm available for any questions. If you have any questions about creative journaling for self-care, let me know. Yeah, thank you so much.
I love that. And I think I'm guessing what I see transpiring is the writing and the journaling is so powerful, but it's the sharing of it that makes it come alive. So I just want to capture that. Don't know what that means yet, but I think that'll kind of happen. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time today and your presence. And thank you, Nicole, for being part of it. Such a
thank you for asking me.
Take care, you guys. Have a fabulous day. Talk to you soon.